Shalom, family. I am so sorry. I actually got caught up in a conversation with Kim. I spoke to her husband, and it was just so much going on at one time. So I am late, and I do apologize for being late. And, sometimes I am late, but usually it's only by a few minutes. It's never quite this long. This is probably the worst I've ever been since I've been on YouTube. So, shalom to everybody. I hope all of you are doing well. I really do. And I'm going to get started. It don't matter if I got 2 people here or 700 people. It doesn't matter because it's not even about that. It's just about keeping you informed on some of the things that are going on out here. So, and I do want to take the time to thank all of you that have given donations towards Kim's medical bills, which are going to be astronomical. The longer you're in the hospital, the more crazy it gets. Unfortunately, in this society, when you get ill, they got a big price tag for your illness. That's just the way it is. It is the way it is because the system is all ran on capitalism. It's not set up to care about any particular individual at the end of the day. So, shalom, family. And we're going to talk about a recent lawsuit that was filed by a real prominent. Now, I know some of you might not have heard of Jim Trotter. He is a very prominent journalist. He's a sports journalist and been a sports journalist for many years. And he may not be well known among all of us, but within the NFL, he is very well known. So he is talking about something that I've heard about before, the racism within the NFL, which should not be shocking because racism, unfortunately, is permeated in every industry in America. And so that part of it is not shocking. And let's be real. If these folks really wanted to get rid of racism, they would have by now. It don't take this amount of time to get rid of something. They really want the racism here because there are benefits and perks for them to keep it around. The only thing they're willing to do is put out these laughable statements and blab about it in the media, and that's as far as it goes. It doesn't go beyond that, you know, and getting rid of one person here and one person there does not end racism, especially in the workplace. Usually in the workplace, you have many participants in it. So eliminating one person out of their job is never going to get rid of it. Never. And that right there tells you they're not serious about getting rid of it at all. And they're not. It doesn't take 500 years to make the necessary changes. They're not making the changes because they want that racism to remain. Okay, regardless the statements and shows they go on and all that is just to pacify the public, mainly the victims of their racism. It's to pacify you. But if you don't see action behind the words, that should not be exciting to you at all, for real. So let's get into this story. I have a video that I want to show you. Um, Let me just get a few things straightened out here and we will get into this story. There's just one more thing I have to do here. But shalom to everybody in the chat, especially those that are just making your way in here. Shalom to you. All right. Okay. Let's see if I go over here. Okay, y'all. All right, let me just find it again. This is really kind of counterproductive here. All right, it's almost there, y'all. Trotter. Hi, I'm live. I'm live. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all right. What do you want? Just go do what you need to do. I'm just gonna talk about food. Oh, here. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen with you because there is a video I want you to see, and then after that, I'll give um, my usual commentary afterwards. And okay. Okay, y'all. Please give me a one if you can see the screen. Please give me a one. I'm going to show you a video that came out recently on ESPN. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, just some old silly behind ad. You know, they always got to throw those in. Just put it through. Just go ahead and put it through. You can. Okay, so let me stop this here. All right.
Quote from Jerry Jones, August of 2020, the lawsuit claims, if blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want to hire. In fairness to Jerry Jones, his response, a statement, team statement, diversity and inclusion are extremely important to me personally and to the NFL. The representation made by Jim Trotter of a conversation that occurred over 3 years ago with myself and our VP of player personnel, Willie McClay, is simply not accurate. Pagula, owner, Buffalo Bills. If black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa and see how bad it is. That's what the lawsuit claims. Pagula, he says that's absolutely false, adding that he was horrified that anyone would connect me rather, to an allegation of this kind. So we have two owners in the National Football League that are being accused of something obviously of this ilk. We know the history involving Colin Kaepernick and how ultimately a settlement was reached with his situation. We've got Brian Flores, who was an assistant coach in Pittsburgh last year. He's now in Minnesota, who's a former head coach in Miami. And he's made claims of racial discrimination and racial strife that exists within the National Football League. As the commissioner of the National Football League since 2006, how do you feel when you hear those kind of allegations being thrown against the league?
Well, to put the emphasis on it, they're allegations, Steve. So our job is to make sure, are they factual? These are not new charges. They're actually a couple of years old.
Yes.
They've been looked into. You've heard the strong denials. There's litigation ongoing now. Mm-hmm. It will be addressed, and it'll be addressed important because they are very important issues, and we share the same concern. We want to make sure our workplaces are first class, and that means opportunities for everybody. We know the importance of progress and diversity, and we're working very hard at it. Is progress where we want it to be? No.
Right.
It's always slower than you want it to be, but I'm confident that we're moving in the right direction.
Okay. So you heard what that was Roger Goodell that was talking. And we know that racism has always been a big part of the NFL. This is nothing shocking, but the allegation that's being made was done during a phone conference with NFL employees. And this team owner that you heard said if black players don't like it, they can go to Africa and see what that's like. First of all, white people, stop talking about Africa as if it's hell on earth. It's hell on earth right here in the United States. I don't know why y'all keep pointing to Africa as if that is way worse. Actually, when it comes down on a spiritual level, it's way worse here in the US. Racism itself makes it way worse here in the US. Stop acting like in Africa that is the absolute worst on the entire planet. No, the absolute worst is right here where you are, living and breathing here in America. All right? So cut that crap out about Africa. Just like when you try to talk about, well, the slums are in Africa. No, you got slums right over there in Europe. You got slums all over Europe. And they've been slums for centuries. It's not like they're new slums that just started up 10 years ago. A lot of these slums, y'all, have been slums even back, you can go back in the 17 and 1800s, and these same locations were slums then. So don't listen to any of that crap about Africa. Like, that is just the god awful worst place in the entire earth. No, you've made this place, the United States, the worst place on the entire earth when it really didn't have to be this way at all. So let me show you Jim Trotter, ladies and gentlemen. Share my screen so you can see Jim. You already saw him in my avatar if you were paying attention. So Jim is, like I said, he is a former, very prominent sports journalist, one of the best in the industry, a matter of fact. So he's well known with the players and, the people behind the scenes, especially in the NFL. Now, the allegations that he's making, a lot of people heard this from Terry Paluga, the Bills owner. It happened during a phone conference about a year ago when he made that comment about tell the black players to go to Africa and all that stuff. And he got fed up because he was one of the people complaining. And you know how it is. Whenever we go and complain about racism on a job, they retaliate on the victim and not the perpetrator that started the whole thing. That's how it's been done standardly all across America, right? The victim that complains is always the one that lose their job, not the victim. See, usually the not the perpetrator. Usually the perpetrator won't lose their job unless it goes on social media and blows up on social media, or it goes public. See, once everybody knows about it, then they feel compelled to let the perpetrator go. But as long as it's not well known and widespread, they'll keep that perpetrator and throw the victim out the door. We have seen it over and over and over that way. Plain and simple. So, in all honesty, I believe his allegations of the racism that goes on. He said it is bad. It is bad. And they openly retaliate on people that complain. And he was one of the ones to complain. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, the thing is, if you talk, for example, if you talk to foreigners that come to this country, they'll even tell you the whole spirit of America, you can tell something is off about this place. And it is. It is. I mean, you're not imagining this, and it's not what they thought it would be when they came here. It's because a lie is being taught to the entire planet about America's greatness. Okay. You brought a country up in pure wickedness. That's what you did. And you now want everybody to see this as great. And you know it's not great. You know why you know it's not great? Because you're trying to change the history. You know your history ain't great. You know it is. You're changing the history because you know there is no greatness in it. There's none. And in fact, what makes me laugh is they're like, "Oh, well, the history is horrible." Yes, it is. And when you study European history, their history was horrible over there too. Okay, it's not like it's any better today than it was before you came sailing over here. It was horrible. Okay. I mean, let's be real. Your entire existence on this planet has been horrible. So before, you would at least go behind the scenes to change things. Now you're doing it in real time for everybody to watch. Everybody's watching you worldwide change your history. And we're all laughing. It doesn't matter what you change it to. At the end of the day, those of us that know the real history, we're going to continue to tell that history regardless to what you put on paper. What are you going to do to stop us? A whole world of people. What are you going to do to stop everybody? And remember, your history, you're just fudging it all here in America. It's not being fudged worldwide. And the racism in America is world renowned. Okay, everybody know you for your racism. And that's the truth. And as far as Jim Trotter, I believe his story about the NFL being extremely racist. We know Jerry Jones is. He done said things over the years, and we saw the photo that came out back in 2022 where he was at a protest to block black students from going to the school he was attending. And let's face it, y'all come up on racism. You do. You bring your families up on it. So that being said, of course it's going to be everywhere. You writing some crap on paper to change history, but you're continuing on in the actions. What do you really think that's going to do? At the end of the day, all of it's going to be counterproductive for real. And I really hope that Jim Trotter prevails in his against the NFL. I hope he prevails. And I hope that the lawsuit is public where we can watch and see what is said. Because I'm sure he's got a lot to say that we have not heard yet. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm so glad. MD Wims, thank you so much for writing that. And NFL itself is a plantation. Have y'all ever watched the drafts where these primarily black men get up on these auction blocks in front of a crowd with their shirt on, with their shirt completely off? And sometimes they come out with nothing but their underwear on and stand on these blocks. I can't watch it, y'all. Have you ever watched an NFL draft years ago? They had the draft. Okay, y'all, you know they got to mess with us, right? Especially the subject matter that we're talking about. So nobody should be surprised. I mean, this is what they do, this is what they've always done. But this show will go on. It will go on. So let me pull up my avatar again here. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay. Okay. So I'm not surprised. I mean, come on, look at the subject matter we're talking about. Usually, whenever we're talking like this, that's when things happen. So, it shouldn't be no shock. But what I was saying when I noticed that the time was not moving was I remember the first time I saw an NFL draft. And at the time, I didn't know what to expect. This was several years back. And I watched it and I could not get past 10 minutes. After the first few black men got out, with their shirts off, getting up on a block and standing there like they're being auctioned, which it really is an auction. It really is. Um, I think I just had to turn away. And a couple of the guys came out with nothing but their drawers on. And that was it. And got up on this auction block because that's what it was to me. And I was just appalled at what it looked like. It is absolutely a slave auction. It really truly is. I don't care what label they put on it. It is a slave auction, period. So just looking at that, I don't know. I guess if I was a man, I would have way too much pride to put my butt up on some block in front of people like that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Mm-mm. So what I was saying, I don't know how much of it you heard. I'm glad Jim Trotter have this lawsuit going, and I don't care about Terry Paluga and what Jerry Jones say. You know, these guys that really live off the backs of black men. I don't have no respect for them. That's all Jerry Jones and Terry Paluga. Yeah, they're a bunch of racists that conveniently live their entire existence off the backs of black men. So I have zero respect for them. And I care even less about what they say. Oh, I was appalled. You ain't appalled. Get the hell out of here. And I really, yeah, they own the team, but they're also jealous of the men that are on their teams. They can't stand their athletic abilities, things they can never ever do in life, these men can do. So anytime you're a billionaire or a millionaire and your whole life is built off of the backs of black people, I don't respect you. I have zero respect for Jerry Jones or Terry Paluga. The hell with those two men. That's how I feel about them. Their talentless ass got to own teams and can't even earn your way without using another human being. I don't respect people like that. They don't deserve any respect. Yeah, that's all they are. Modern day slave owners. Thank you, MD Wim. Thank you so much. That's exactly what they are. Modern day slave owners. I mean, we even saw it in the NBA with the way they treated Kyrie Irving. Yeah, your slave got to apologize to you. But anybody else that do something to you, they don't have to. Just your slave got to apologize. Y'all can go kick rocks. Hmm. So I'm going to follow this because I would love to know what Jim Trotter is going to bring out. I'm sure he's going to bring out a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we never heard before out of the NFL. And I'm sure they hate that. If they could stifle him, you know, they would try to find a way to do it. You know, he might be able to pull this off, you know, only because prior to him complaining about the racism, he had a really good reputation within the NFL. He really did. So this is not some person you might have had behind the scenes that nobody ever heard of. He really does have a name in the industry, plain and simple. So, y'all, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I'm sorry, you know, for my delay in getting here. And then I'm sorry for all the problems I had during the live stream. But, you know, nevertheless, you still get the gist of what I'm saying. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day. And those of you that come and join me, you know, during the Bible study, I will see you then. And as for the rest of you who don't, please have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Shalom, family.